What's up, guys? It's the Essential John L. Crossfire.
And I am Nova Lee.
And you guys are tuned into Caught
in Conversation.
Shaka laka laka. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 141 of Caught in Conversation. It's Nudie Magazine Day. I am the Essential John L. Crossfire.
And I am Nova Lee.
And why have we called this episode Nudie Magazine Day, Mrs Crossfire? I really hope that this goes through the censors.
Because it gets mentioned in this conversation. It's a Billy Madison quote. How can you not? Had to be the name. Just had to be.
It was between that and Stop Looking at Me, Swan.
Yeah.
We're going to go around, we're going to put shit on people's doorsteps, and we're going to set it on fire. If you stay home, you can help me shave my armpits. There's so many options. It come down to that and Eric is pregnant, but I'm sure Kerry Gros, that's Gros, the S is silent. I was almost going to have S is silent as the title just to remind myself because it's a French name because he's from the French part of Louisiana, but I was like, they can't do that because there's someone else whose whole gimmick is there's a letter of their name that is silent, and if we eventually have them on, that's going to be just the given title. But this was a very fun conversation, Mrs. Crossfire / Nova / whichever hat you're wearing today. We teed this up. I've been following KG for quite a while. You yourself, Miss Nova Lee, has been following him on his KG Studios
for
pages
ages. I didn't even realize.
You didn't even realize that this man was a professional wrestler. How could you not?
I knew he was into professional wrestling because, I mean, the design said it all. But, yeah, I was like, oh, cool.
But, I there was one day there, and it's probably about a year or two ago now, maybe. Probably about a year and a half ago, I think, where he posted something like, hey, he posted something where, because he has the multiple accounts with his, the KG wrestler stuff and then the KG studio stuff, and he does try to keep them separate and as much as he can, just because, he's trying to run a business, and completely respect that. We do the same thing here with our respective pages and the podcast, and then my Crossfire graphics page, which again, if my graphics can be half as good as KG's, I'll be happy. But he just posted like an Instagram story or something where it was just like, oh, a little snippet as to what I'm doing, da-da-da-da. And it was like one of his, earlier promo shots. And I was like, oh, man, this is cool. And, the rest is history. I've just been following him on social media, as you do. I mean, the internet can be a crazy place at times, but I feel like with this particular situation, I love the positivity that you can get out of the internet. Like the fact that I've been following this guy for a little bit now, just through the power of social media is kind of cool. And we get a little mention here at the end of the conversation. He actually is followed and follows the MXW page and a couple of other Aussie wrestling pages. So, hey, maybe you'll see the chains broken down under one day sooner than later. But that's neither here nor there. Nova Lee, you have the song of the week. You have the match of the week. Do you want to explain? Oh, sorry. Say what they are. I butcher that every single week, but it's all one take. If you want to say what they are, and then we're explaining why we've chosen them. What are words? Buy the T-shirt.
Alrighty, so your song of the week for episode 141 was Chainbreaker, for obvious reasons, by the Brothers of Metal, and your match of the week for episode 141 is Edge versus Rey Mysterio, No Way Out, 2008.
And I got to say, I had never heard this song before 5 minutes ago.
I didn't either. I randomly found it on Instagram. And it is now
on about 5 or 6 different playlists.
Like, This is a friggin' awesome song.
This is a wrestling promo entrance, like high package. Like this song fucking
all the
slaps.
Boxes, and I was like,
and
this has to be it.
It kind of ties in, not even intentionally, the cover art for this. It's like a dragon, and it's all Viking-y. It tells a story, which is KG's big thing. It's fucking sick. It's so sick.
It was just perfect. I was like, this is the song. This is the song I'm picking.
And obviously I picked this match because it just came up naturally in conversations. This was one of, if not the first, professional wrestling match KG ever watched. Edge and Rey Mysterio, No Way Out 2008. Hadn't been match of the week before, so hey, what a perfect way to slot that one in there. This is honestly, this is like peak 2008. Like that early 2008 era, just before they went into the PG era, was some really good stuff. Some really, really Really
good
good
shit,
show.
pal.
Yeah, such good shit, pal. Man, I went so long with like, I basically banned Vince McMahon from this podcast because I was like, I didn't want to be involved in the controversy, but now they've got the Netflix show and we're eventually going to do the review and hopefully sooner than later so the boat doesn't sail, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, very fun conversation with KG. I don't want to fiddle fart around too long in this intro and the outro because I was trying to be very respectful of his time, and I was like, I knew it was, he just had dinner and it was, close to bedtime so he could get up and do stuff tomorrow or whatever else he had to do. But no, we talked all up for just under an hour and a half, and I think the conversation's about an hour and 25. So try and get in and get out within, an hour and a half-ish for this episode. So with that being said, as always, I'm going to press this button. Nova Lee, you have your intro ready?
I do.
All right.
From Thibodaux, Louisiana, the Chainbreaker, Kerry Gros.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here all the way from Louisiana, the Chainbreaker, Kerry Gros. How are you doing this afternoon / evening in your neck of the woods?
Well, I just ate, so I'm ready for bed, but it's a little early. So, but I'm glad to be here. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, I think what did you say it was? It's about 6:45 your time on Tuesday evening, ish, 20 to 7.
It's 6:40 about right now, and it's it's already dark out, so I'm ready for bed, but I'm also not.
The irony is it's almost midday here, but it's still semi-dark out, so we've got to have like the lights on because it's summer next week here, but for some reason it's still pissing down rain and overcast. So go figure, but but we always ask the same question to break the ice here. It's as I said, it's kind of a generic question, but very important question to kick off your journey. What was your earliest professional wrestling memory, Kerry?
Well, the weird thing is I didn't watch wrestling till later on, but I was big into the video games. I loved the video games because at 6 years old I was playing like Mortal Kombat and everything like that. So I'm the baby of the family, so I have a nephew who's older than me who had the games, and that kind of just jump-started it, and I always wanted to play the games, but, I mean, who sits here and smacks each other with chairs and ladders and put people through tables and stuff? But my first time actually looking into wrestling, my older brother called the house and said, "Tell Kerry, put it on this channel," and the first two wrestlers I seen was in build-up to No Way Out, Rey Mysterio and Edge. And they had Vicky Guerrero, who was in the wheelchair at the time. And I just remember just jumping on my bed going, they're real. Like, these video game characters are real. And from there, I've been hooked to wrestling. I know nothing else because of Rey Mysterio and Edge.
I believe that was 2008 off the top of my head, but I love that you used Ray as the example because I was the exact same. I very loosely watched the Attitude Era, so I knew like Stone Cold, Rock, Taker Kane, all of them, but the Ruthless Aggression era is where I fell off. But my friend had a PS2 game, which was, I can't remember if it was Shut Your Mouth or Here Comes the Pain, but Rey Mysterio was on one of them, and it was the first time I'd ever seen Ray. And, like, literally a couple years later, it was the same thing. I was like, oh, my God, this, like, because to me, I thought he was just some ninja guy that was made up. And then I was like, oh, my God, this guy's a real guy.
It was just insane because it was like these people that I wanted to play as in the games. Like, everything is real. Like, it's on TV every single week. Like, no way. Like, this is so cool. So, I mean, ever since then, as I said, I've been stuck on it, and, Ray's not my favorite, but of course, I love Edge. I actually like Edge a lot. I love this heel run looking back on it now. As a kid, I couldn't stand him.
Yeah, dude, that, like, 04 to, like, 07-ish run, like, even into that 08 run with Vicky was, that's top-tier heel work, bar none. Like, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
But at what point then...
And that's what happened on there. was Ray ended up giving Edge the 619, and Edge was getting up on the wheelchair, and I didn't know who Vicky was. She wasn't in the games or nothing, so I wasn't familiar with her. But Ray jumped on the rope and tried to do his little senton and landed on Vicky, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing in the world. This is great. Yes. Like, I love this so much."
The seating senton into the wheelchair. Yeah. Yes, that I remember that now. That's awesome.
and Ray's just staring dead, just going like, "Oh." Like, that wasn't
from memory. I think the reason she was in the wheelchair to begin with was, one, she took a tombstone from the Undertaker, but there was a match previously with Ray and Edge where Edge threw Vicky in the way of the 619 like a month or two prior. So that's the build up of Edge constantly using.
I believe
Vicky
that was at. I believe that part happened at the Rumble. So this was like their second match. Was their second match, but I had to catch up a lot. Like, from the moment that I watched that SmackDown, I was like, I need to figure out what's going on. So I just started trying to research the best that I could what was going on, so that way I could know what was happening storyline wise. Like, I completely skipped over John Cena's big return, So I was like, all right. So I started just going backwards just to figure out what was going to happen for No Way Out.
Which is kind of crazy because, like, that Cena return on that same Rumble, like the month previous, was one of the best returns of all time now when you go back through the annals and you look at it. But I suppose when you're just getting into it, as you said, it's kind of, it's unfathomable territory. But at what point, Kerry, from that point, did you then decide that you eventually wanted to, one, join the business, but when did you eventually take that step to come into the business?
I mean, as a kid, I just thought it was always the coolest thing. And before discovering wrestling, I was like, I want to be a basketball player, mainly because my dad was a basketball player in high school. And they were like, man, you're going to get his height, which I did. I'm 6 feet, 2 inches tall, but I can't shoot a basketball for nothing. But I always just told people, like, I'm going to be a wrestler. Basically, once I started watching it more, I was like, there's nothing cooler than this. To say that I do this, I want to do that. So from that point, I was like, I'm going to do that. It just in real life, time doesn't seem to be one of my best friends. So it took a lot longer than I originally had planned. I started training when I was 22, and there was no. Well, I wiggled travel. I had some friends that I ended up meeting through the internet that lived nearby that was training. So they took me out of state to go, record vlogs, sell merch, everything like that. And they kind of taught me how to bump. But once I joined the school, I was fully locked and loaded, and that's kind of where the chain breaker thing come from. Was obviously growing up saying, since 8 years old, I'm going to be a wrestler, and having people look at you and say, no, you're not. You're stupid. You're too small. You're skinny. That's not realistic. Do you have a plan B? I never had a plan B. Like, wrestling was all I knew. And as I said, I view words as chains. A lot of people like to get held back by other people's words. And for me, it was about proving them wrong. Like, everyone always said they were going to do football, basketball. They didn't do that. Here I am. I'm a wrestler. I accomplished what I wanted to. I have so much more to go. I'm already a tag team champion right now. I've done far more than anyone's ever expected.
See, I love that. Now, the awesome thing about that is it actually kind of answered one of Nova's questions that she had jotted down. Was she was going to ask you about the actual Chainbreaker moniker. So it kind of just naturally come out, which is awesome. But I wrestled here in Australia for just on 3 years. It was nothing spectacular. I'm humble enough to admit that. But I 100% agree that with like all these people that are like, no, you'll never do it. And then, all these years later, I'm jumping off the top rope, hitting frog splashes, and they're like, oh my God, dude, like, always supported you, always knew you could do it. And it's like, you lying sons of bitches.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's a lot of them that, of course, they're just like, they, in school, obviously, they were joking, just like, oh, you better be careful. Kerry's going to suplex you, yeah. But And now it's just like, oh, he actually will suplex someone. Oh, okay, we see how he is, because I'm super nice to everyone, but once I go in the ring and I'm in my gear and I just put the chain breaker on, they just like, oh, okay, well, he can be very aggressive, and I enjoy that people like to see that side as well, especially my friends. And as you said, a lot of the people that was just like, oh, I've supported you since, it's like, no, you used to clown beat, but you know what? You paid to see me now, and now I'm getting your money. I don't care what you think anymore.
I still laugh about your mum, to be honest, because she's always like, it was just a phase.
Yeah, my mum telling me it was just a phase at the age of 12 years old, and then my first actual my first interstate road trip, my mum's following me 16 hours up the road 12 years later to watch me wrestle.
My mom, she did not want me to wrestle, which was weird, because I jokingly told her, like, oh, maybe I'll go do UFC. And she was like, okay. And I was like, now wait, what the hell you mean okay to the UFC? What? That's even more insane. I don't get it. What? So and even then she'll look at my nephew and she'd be like, I blame you for this. And I'm like, for what? And now she comes to the shows and everything, and she's looking, she's like, I know you could do it. And it was like, sure, I guess, you didn't want me to do this, and you tried have you thought about college? I thought about college. I don't want to go to college. I want to wrestle. Like, this is all I've wanted to do.
Oh, I love that so much, because my youngest brother, there's a 12-year age gap between us, so I've almost been like an uncle, or dare I say a father figure to him as he's grown up. And my mum used to do the same thing, like, oh, it's your fault, like, you did this. And now it's gotten to the point where my mum and brother are going to shows that I'm not going to, or that I'm at, just because they want to go to shows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold up a minute, woman. I was like, when I was that age.
Right, yeah. No, it was, I mean, the age gap between me and my siblings are pretty big. My dad had me at a very older age. So, I mean, by the time I was born, my siblings were already in their 30s, so they also, of course, kids will be kids. They're going, oh, yeah, he's dreaming, he wants to do this. And then as you get older, it's kind of like, you need to start being realistic here. And it's like, I think it's pretty realistic, I'm just young. And of course, they made fun of me. I don't want to touch on this a lot because I've moved on from it, but I also did like backyard wrestling. And, I mean, they would sit there too. Like, I was buying plywood and everything and recording everything in the backyard. And my brother would sit there and be like, well, I don't think there's anything weirder than just, smashing your friends over the head with pieces of wood and jumping off of the ladders and everything. And I was like, this is the closest I got to wrestling right now. It's the closest thing I had, so I just pursued it until I started training.
Hell yeah.
So I'm just going to jump into my first question here. I did have about where did the moniker for the Chainbreaker come from, but you've already touched on that. I'm not sure, did John ask you when you first discovered indie wrestling, like away from WWE and stuff like that? I didn't know,
I just said when did you
sometimes we like to ask that, so I might ask that instead. So when did you first discover indie wrestling, Kerry?
I mean, the moment that I discovered WWE was everything, but then, I was just flicking through channels, and I ended up, obviously, they're not indie, but all of a sudden I discovered TNA wrestling, and then from there, everything just grew bigger. Like, it was like they have other forms of wrestling other than WWE. So, I mean, I didn't truly get to dive super deep into independent wrestling till, like, I didn't have a computer in the house till I was like 13. So from there, I mean, that's when it was like, I need to see what else is out there. And from there, it was like I discovered Ring of Honor. I was discovering New Japan, AAA, CMLL, All Japan. I was discovering what death matches were. I mean, so at 13, basically is whenever the door opened a lot wider than I thought it was. But if I was at someone else's house and they had a computer, I was watching just old WWE stuff. But 13 independent wrestling, and especially local wrestling. I had family members that was going to the shows before I knew about it, so they helped me learn about what was going on in the area, and eventually I would go to those shows and try to make friends pretty early. I couldn't pick their brain. I knew my role. Some people go to the shows and they just want to learn everything, and I knew my place. That wasn't my place to do so. I was just going to be another kid that was like, oh, smart Mark. It was like, no, I don't even. I'll learn on my own time, but I'm not going to sit there and try to bother them. They got other things to worry about than a kid wanting to learn how this stuff works.
See, I like that. That's a good attitude, though. He's kind of already approached that with a business mind, almost of, oh my god, like these guys, but yeah, like they got a job to do, so he's letting them do their job. So
no, I mean, I've always come in with a lot of respect for it. I came in with a lot of respect for wrestling because even now, like I have a certain attitude of, you know, at shows I try to stay within character. I don't find that, you know, those people aren't there to see real Kerry. They're there for Chainbreaker. They pay to see this person in action. They're not worried about who I am as a person. So no matter what, throughout the night, I just keep that clicked on. Like from the moment that I pull up to a building and I see that there's people already waiting, it's instantly like laughing, giggling to as soon as I'm getting my bags, like I'm mean mugging. I'm just like y'all are seriously here right now? Y'all paid to see me, right? Y'all are here for me? Oh, you didn't? Well, I don't care what you think. Stay out in the heat. I don't care. I'm going to the air conditioning. Like, I believe in all of that. And I'll even mess with the kids and characters. Like, hey, can I get a picture? And I say, can you give me $5 first? So, just small things like that to leave those memories, because that's how wrestlers left that memory with me when I would go to the shows. It's just little small things. I'm not going to sit there and be a total douchebag to children. If you're an adult, then yes, I've said some of the most outlandish things already.
Roast the hell out of it.
I've told people at charity shows some of the craziest things, and they don't like me. They wish death on me. They've waited for me after shows.
Oh, shit.
I mean, it gets pretty crazy.
And they say kayfabe is dead.
I believe in it. I love that part of it, you know?
I get that, though. Like
once it's like mostly it's gone, once the people's mostly gone, then yeah, that's when it'll be like, all right, I need to pick up my merch. My gear's all in my bag. Here's me, you know, but if it's, you know, if there's a good bit of people, it's like, no, you're here. You came to see this version of me, not this version of me.
Oh, I 100% get that, because obviously a podcast is a podcast, right? And within the realm of it, you know, if kayfabe is a little bit skewed, but within the realm of the actual shows itself, 100%. Like
yes.
you don't just play wrestler. You are the wrestler or manager or whatever. Like you are that person for an allotted time, and I feel, as you say, like I've had so much fun. I feel like in a way that's kind of what I accidentally turned back babyface, just because I was having so much banter as a heel with the kids that they started to actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, this guy's cool. And I'm like, what?
You meant to hate me, didn't
Yeah. It's a hard line. With the adults are just like, he sucks. And the kids are sitting there going like, boo, you suck. And they're just like, come on. And it's like, wait, hold on. You're bipolar. What's wrong with you?
So my next question, it switches gears a little bit. So it goes into one of your side hustles, which is graphic design, which is kind of funny because only our other second international guest that you follow as well, Derek from Curtain Joker Designs, was our other international guest. So we've got another graphic designer here.
We have a bit of a pattern here with our international guest, it seems.
So what's...
I mean, hey, it's a big branch there. I mean, wrestlers are always looking for designers, and so it's better someone that knows the biz that also knows the biz. So...
So what got you into all your like graphic design stuff? Like what made you want to pursue that? So
the year is 2020.
Oof.
The world is frozen because of COVID. And so during the worst time that it could possibly be, I didn't decide this. the world decided no better time to go ahead than dislocate your shoulder. And so during that time, I couldn't work. I worked what they considered an essential job, which was in a grocery store. But I couldn't go do the normal job because they didn't want to clear me off, because they said once you dislocate like a shoulder or something, it's super easy to go ahead and just have it pop out again, and which at that point, surgery would be no option. I had the option of not having surgery, but I obviously didn't want to go through the struggle of popping my shoulder out of place again. So I'm not working. I have all this time in my hands, and in the U.S. they weren't even talking about, stimulus checks or anything like that. So it was a big question of what am I going to do to try and keep money in. Nobody likes being broke. So I dabbled a little bit in Photoshop whenever I would try to make like thumbnails and stuff like that. I also thought about being a gaming YouTuber, so I tried, to learn Photoshop a little bit. But suddenly I saw a video in my recommended about merchandise design, and I clicked it, I watched it, and then I kept rewatching it, and just trying to study it. And from there, I just spiraled for 2020. As I said, I had so much time on my hands with not being able to work that I really was interested in the world of merch design, which is what I specialize in. And I don't know. I don't even know how to describe the rabbit hole, because I just fell so deep into it. I've watched so many videos since then, learned so many techniques. But it all started with having a dislocated shoulder during COVID.
Like it's super cliche, but that right there is a perfect example of like the whole dark clouds having silver linings. Because I originally discovered you through your designs, and look, I think you've seen some of my work. It is what it is. I'm legally blind. I'm self-taught, so it is what it is. But like, if my work can get half as good as yours, eventually I'll be happy. Honestly, you say you've gone down a rabbit hole, but you really have. You've the amount of different techniques and stuff that I've seen you apply to like your merch designs and stuff is it's just great. I didn't even realize there was that many techniques, to be honest.
I try to tell people, because they'll ask me how to get into it, and it's like anything else. It's just knowing your tools and what you're working with. Merch design's a little bit more complex than it seems, because you got to think about little things about how is this going to be printed? Is this screen printed? Is this DTG? Is this DTF? Like small things like that, and it goes down to a science, but it also goes down to learning your tools, especially within whatever program. They have so many settings and options and filters and everything. It's just learning your tools and knowing how to do it. You can't make a house out of your bare hands. You have all these tools, use it to make something great out of it. So that's what I try to do within my design.
Okay.
So the next
That'll
question...
kind of blend into your next question, actually, Nova.
Yeah. So, like, without burying anyone here, do you have any pet peeves when it comes to specific things that you see or you don't see on posters or flyers or things like that? So, like, for me, with my graphic design background, I hate Comic Sans. Just
one
no.
That bugs me. One that bugs me is when, like, there's, like, you can see where the person's cut off. Like, they haven't blended it, they haven't covered it. It's just, here's half a body. It just...
I don't like just a square. Like, as you said, no blending. There's no trying to hide it or nothing. It's just square. Here's the cutoff. And it's like, damn you for doing this. Why would you just cut it off? Let it fade in. Use a gradient, something. Because I'm just going to stare at this box. If I wanted to stare at a box, I'd print out a picture. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Just add some clip art in there. You'll be fine.
So many
it's that, or there was a shirt that was in a Spencer's over here for Doja Cat, and I don't know what happened, but for one of the poses, you could tell that they tried to like make it different based off the original photo, but she was wearing like this pink like sleeve, but half of the sleeve is a lighter shade of pink because it wasn't in the original photo, but it's on a shirt now. And I was just like staring hard at it, and I'm going, this shit sucks.
And is this like official? Is this official Doja Cat merch?
It's in stores. It's in stores, on websites, everything. I'm staring at it, and my friend's just like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "This."
Oof.
And I'm like, "Just look at it. Just look at it for a second. What do you see wrong?" And they were just like, "Nothing." And I'm like, "Wrong. You're wrong. This is not right. Why didn't they think about this?"
My OCD.
But that's how I am whenever I go into stores.
Oh gosh.
That's what I do once I go into stores. It's just like, I'll look at these designs and I'll be like, someone probably got paid $200 to make this shit.
See, this is where
I'm over here.
It just reminds me of a funny story. There was a company here in Australia that, because it was their very first show that they were holding, I was booked on it to do commentary. And, you know, again, I'm an amateur designer, so I'm like, look, because it's your first show, I'll do the poster for free, right? They ended up having to postpone the show. And I don't have to mention the names, but people that were meant to be on that show will know who I'm talking about. They had to postpone the show. They're like, hey, here's the new date, blah, blah, blah. Can you make it? Because I couldn't make it, rather than just have me change the date on the original poster, which would have literally taken 2 seconds, they've like blocked me on Facebook and everything because wrestling. And their attempt at a new poster was literally go, blah, 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 here's this, this, and this. And they just pasted the photo of like the belt with like the plain white background still in it. And it made me so happy when I went through the comment section of this company's page though. And all of these people that were fans saying, wow, that's a really bad downgrade from the last poster. And it kind of, like, I'm not one to really stroke my ego, but like to have that and see the people see the absolute, the complete change in the two posters, I was like, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I felt. I ended up working for a show recently, and it was very like heavily like use of AI and just, as I said, just like a cutout of just boom. And for my picture, personally, they grabbed it from a fan photo. So they didn't come ask me for some sort of, one of the many photos that I've taken. They took it from a fan picture, and they misspelled my name. And I was like, are you serious right now? Like, why all of these things? Like, why is this happening? So I tell them before, I'm like, hey, I was a part of 2 matches that night. And I'm like, hey, they misspelled my name. I ended up making a free graphic for the show so that way I could actually post this instead of it looking like this. And they post the second match that I'm in, and they still misspell my name, and they put that picture of me on top of like a wrestling snowman. And I was like, I'm not sharing this one, and I'm not going to take the time to remake this one because there's too many things happening in it. I'm not going to do it. So obviously, show comes around. And they're just like, what's your rates like? And I tell them my rates, and they're like, we'll probably come to you because we like your work and you're local. And I was like, okay, because I am very open to helping y'all since it's a startup. But it's just like my head was hurting from looking, and my friends were looking at it. And I'd be like, hey, so what you think of this? And they're just like, that looks like shit. I go, thank you.
I hate when I get promo photos, but it's pictures of people either standing in the ring or at ringside, and there's like the ropes are in the way, or like the guardrail or something's in the way. So then I've got to then edit that out and try and like make and like blend in a fake outfit and make it like similar to like the Doja Cat thing.
Right.
Make sure it's not, and it's just like, oh my god, just give me a picture of him standing in front of a wall or something. Like, it's not that hard.
Right. No, luckily, the promoters that I work with, they'll happily send me promo pictures, or I know the guy that took the promo picture, and I'll be like, hey, do you have a promo picture of this? A recent one. They'll send it over. I don't usually have those kind of issues. But no, if it's like an action shot or something, if it's an action shot, I'm putting it in the background if necessary. Other than that, no, I'm not about to use that for an official photo of you. This is supposed to represent you.
I feel
and
that.
I don't want to butcher it. I don't want to butcher it.
Action shots kind of work for like, an 8x10 or something, but as far as like an actual poster or a flyer, it's just like it needs to be clear and
Exactly, and Photoshop only works so far. It doesn't. It makes wonderful products, but it does not work magic all the time. So
just AI in body parts and stuff like.
I've had to do that sometimes though. Was luckily enough with some of their tools, I could bring in like an elbow, right? Like an elbow's cut out. I could make that work. But I mean, like if there's something in the way, no, I need you to send me something else. Even if it's from 2 years ago and you lost 30 pounds, I don't care. I can't use this.
Actually, I won't say who because I love them dearly, but we actually had to do that with someone. It was a full professional photo for the promo photo, but for some reason the top of the head was cut off. So we had to kind of scour the internet looking at bald heads, trying to find one that was like the right shape and then, blend them. we actually, surprisingly, like you look at the photo and you can't tell. And when I pointed that out to someone, I was very happy that they didn't actually realize that it wasn't the real photo. So, but like, as you say, little stuff like that is fine. But when it's just ridiculous stuff and it's like half an arm or like, it's like, dude.
Yeah.
So that head thing
this
so
is
cool.
This is not right.
Because it was fun.
This is not right.
So good. My next question for you, Kerry, is what's been your favorite design that you've done so far, and what was and what has also been the most challenging?
I'm almost 5 years in. I've made so many designs, I don't even know. And it sucks that the majority of them aren't real, actually produced designs. They're just practice pieces that I got to post on social media.
I will say, honestly, like some of the Post Malone stuff and like some like the other stuff you've done like that, if they were on shirts, I would 100%. Like if I went into a store, like, I don't know, I know Australian stores are slightly different to the US, but say we went into Kmart or whatever here, where they've got like a bunch of Guns N' Roses and whatever else. They've just got all the dad rock shirts. Yeah. If I was to go to that section and there was, say, a Post Malone shirt or a, Jelly Roll t-shirt or something of that nature of like things that you've done in that style, there's so much stuff that I would wear. Like, I really do enjoy your work.
And I greatly appreciate that because I don't give myself enough credit with anything that I do.
There was one you did recently.
I don't know. I like so much.
The Great Muda one that you did for the Sketchamania thing. That was really awesome. Yeah. I really enjoyed that one.
Even if you have like a even if you have like a favorite like art style or something that you like for me, like when I was doing a lot of art, like graphic design stuff, it was Art Nouveau kind of styled stuff that I'd base a lot of it around that kind of style. Is there anything like that sticks out to you that you kind of use a lot in your like artworks and stuff?
I think it's just like early wrestling t-shirts that I'm inspired by.
Yes, cool.
Like obviously I grew up 2008, so it's like they still was heavy use of like tribal and paint splatter, but just trying to learn the techniques to make it look that vintage. And especially for me, I like illustrated. I can't draw for shit. But just to try and finesse to make it look like a cartoon, that's something that I enjoy. I get inspired by pretty much any style. I can't sit there and say I could do any style. Some of it takes a little bit harder to perfect, but I'm really into the vintage looks. I think that's something that I've really nailed down at this point, and I've been lucky to, when getting messaged about working with certain clients, that's usually it's like I want this to have like a vintage style, so it's like okay, I could nail this in about an hour. I've had it down pat, anything from the bootleg to, as I said, just trying to the certain techniques that they used back then.
Yeah, well, those bootlegs are slowly starting to come back into fashion. A lot of artists and athletes are putting that on official merch now. Like a lot of UFC fighters and stuff have done it, and a couple of like. I
was lucky to do work for UFC.
Yes, so that's what
I was lucky to do some work for UFC. So.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to kind of.
So for that, and then and then same thing for Mighty Mouse's first official clothing drop. I was the only one that they played around with typography and stuff, but they came to me and was like, we need a bootleg style. Okay, I could do it. And the hard part, as I said, is trying to nail it down to limited colors whenever it comes to merch design. I try to keep everything within no more than 3 colors, because the less colors, the more likely it is to be approved, because that's less money they're having to spend. So that's something that I've mainly this year really been practicing the most, is trying to keep the colors super minimum, so that way they'll just say yes automatically. I don't have to go back and retrace my steps, and I forgot to turn this one into a smart object, so now I got to figure out how the hell I redid that. So just small things like that.
But what's been one of the more challenging designs that you've done, or styles even?
I don't get this one too often. I don't personally like doing them too often. I will turn them down, but I don't like doing cover art too much.
Okay, yep.
And it's not even because it's challenging. Most of the people that message me all just want the same specific things, which is this, like, it has to be black and white, and they want like torn out pictures, or look like it's taped together. I had to explain that to one of my friends, and I was like, for me, cover art needs to tell a story. Like, I can create worlds with what I do, which is my idea with design, is I want to create stories. I want to create worlds that speak about whatever it is I'm making. As you said, for the Mudo one, in the background, they had that big paint splatter in the back. That's to represent the mist, and it's super basic, but I look at small little things. But whenever it comes to cover art, everyone just wants the same thing. They want 15 pictures of them in the background, and it's like, okay, whatever, I could do it, but I just don't like doing cover art. And challenging, also could be wrestling posters for me, because as I said, I've learned more about merch design than anything, but whenever it comes to posters, some people are super picky, some people aren't. It's mostly whenever they're hands-on, like really just like the smallest little things. Like, all right, okay, whatever. I'm probably going to charge you more now. Thanks a lot. I try not to charge a lot. I try to, which is horrible on my part, but it's been a rough year, so I'll be like, I'll work with whatever you're looking for, So, but it's like, okay, now I got to waste another 2 hours on this. All right, that's another 25 on your tab, buddy. I'm sorry, I got to do it.
I do feel that, because, like, for example, with my 8x10s, I charge 40, and obviously with the currency conversion, that's probably just about $20 US. So I'm like, that's pretty standard, considering they can sell them at $5-10 a pop, right? But I've still had people, even with a done deal, I'm like, it's like $40 each or 3 for 80, right? There's a bit of a discount in there. And it's basically, but they'll be like, oh, that's still too much, and da-da-da. I'm like, like,
I've kind of had to help you too, where it was like, people were wanting things for free or like
I've
cheaper.
Done so many favors.
And I said to him, no, you have to see the value in your art and charge like accordingly, and your time is precious. You need to show that in your pricing, because that's one of the things that one of my teachers that taught me graphic design stuff literally said, like, it's your time, like, value it, your art is valuable, and if people don't want to pay it, they're not your clients, kind of thing. Like, you've really got to look at that.
Yeah, well, I recently just did some Twitch emotes for a friend, which was the first time ever doing that, and I was like, I don't know, like $90, $100, basically lowballing myself. And he's like, no, and he sent me 150. And then I looked at it again in Australian dollars. There were people, for what I did, charging like $300 for half the amount of emotes that I did. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, like that's close to,
Yeah.
Probably about...
I tell people how much I charge, and they, just for like a simple like shirt design, how much I charge, and they're like, dude, for the quality that you're putting out, why are you doing that? And I'm just like... I don't know. I feel bad for people. They just want to make cool things, and so do I. But as I said, I really I lowball myself and everything. I don't give myself as much credit as a lot of other people give me. No matter what, like as you said, you love my art, and for me, sometimes I'll be proud of it, but I won't sit there and be like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is the thing. Like, for me, it's like, I think it's okay. But for other people to be like, I want you. And it's like, me? Like, me?
That's
okay.
thing, though. Like, we're already always so critical and perfectionists of our own work. But then when other people say, they're like, that's flipping amazing.
Obviously, some things are always going to be better than others that you do. It's always the case. But for example, Extreme Capital Wrestling, it's obviously a play on Extreme Championship Wrestling, but we didn't want to get sued. We've only had 2 shows so far. But the poster that I did for their second show, it was meant to be their 3rd show this month, but it's been postponed to next year. The poster I did for the 3rd show, I was like, seeing that get shared around by so many people in so many different states of the country, and like all like the Australian wrestling like Facebook groups and stuff, I literally had to take a step back and be like, dude, and like, because like I work for this company, I'm head commentator, I'm part of HR, so I do those for free for that company. And I was like, the fact that I've done that for free essentially, and it's probably the best poster to date that I've done, I was just like, I'm using that everywhere when I'm actually getting money. I'm like, hey guys, for X amount of dollars, you could have this, which is probably worth this. And I always hate like saying it because it sounds so egotistical, but no, when you take that step back, you're like, hold on a minute. Like, I put X amount of hours of work into this and it looks this good. You just got to take that second sometimes to be like, oh, actually, you know what? Like when you're seeing everyone sharing.
And that's the thing. I don't struggle obviously with the business part, like I know business is business and sometimes you have to throw emotions out the window, but at the same time, like it seems like, everyone's struggling with something. So that's just the humane part of me just going like, as I said, you want to put something cool into the world. I want to play a good part into putting that very same thing into the world because someone's going to look at it and be like, that's sick. And I'll be like, I agree. Like, I thought it turned out great. And I love getting the messages back after, like, they print it and they go, man, this turned out, like, far better than I could have imagined. We've already sold this much because of this. I've never had this much in sales before. And it's a comforting thing of, like, all right, so other people like what I do. It's just, of course, with social media, it's so hard to, for some reason, like, really get that outreach, especially whenever it does come to working with these brands. All the credit goes to them, to these brands for putting it out there. Us graphic designers, we're kind of just in the dirt going like, I made it. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't print it. You're not selling it. Like, oh, okay. Well.
It's my brain.
So I see how it is.
Brainchild though, but no worries. Like,
I'll just tell this story really quick because I don't want to obviously hijack the episode and talk about myself because it's your story, Kerry. But I think my proudest one was, we have a company here called World Series Wrestling. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but basically they bring a bunch of talent from your neck of the woods over to tangle with some of our guys. And I did one for Brian Cage, and I spent...
Yes.
I legitimately, the amount of work that's in it, it only took me about 40 minutes all up to make it. I don't know what it was. I just went in a mad ADHD hyperfixation and started just throwing stuff everywhere. And I posted it online saying, hey, cool, like, keen to meet Brian. Well, not meet him, but see him again and give him this. And he actually messaged me saying, hey, that's sick. But when he actually got here to Australia, he had people in other cities giving him stuff that they'd made as well. And one of them in particular we've had on this podcast, he's a wrestler by the name of Johnny Facchetti. He does some graphic design as well. He met him up in Brisbane, which is literally like 16 hours away from where we are. And he's like, oh, I made this. And Cage was like, oh, yeah, man, this is cool. And he's like, no, like my buddy shits all over it. And actually showed him mine. And then I saw Cage, obviously, 2 or 3 days afterwards, and Brian Cage himself has recounted this story to me of, oh my God, I've been waiting to see this 8x10 in person. He's like, some guy in such and such town showed me and blah, blah, blah. And that for me was just fucking mind-blowing that one of my buddies actually kind of put me over with him, but 2, he actually remembered it and was literally waiting to receive it. That for me was awesome. Like...
And then I look at it, I go to some of these shows, and I've designed shirts for them. And so in the crowds of these shows, I'm looking in it, and like a good majority of them is wearing something that I designed. And I'm just like, obviously it doesn't feature me at all, but it's still just like, these people like what I created in this crowd, and they have no clue that it was even the person that they're currently wanting to spit at that made the design for them.
I just said that recently, actually. Like, there was people wearing, like, my actual merch, which was cool. But it was them, seeing them wearing another wrestler, High Octane, he put on a show. It was a charity show we did. Seeing them wearing his merch and, like, loving the design, and me kind of, again, I was doing commentary, looking out, going, I fucking made that. Like, it is just the coolest thing. Like,
there's 30 people in the crowd wearing my shirt.
Well, legit, I don't know if he sold out completely, but he sold quite a big chunk of the shirts that he had. So, like, it was, about a month ago now as we record this, and I literally had that same thing, Kerry. It was like, it's just mind-boggling. Like...
It's a great feeling. And, of course, I feel a little bit more pride in seeing people wear, like, my actual merch, because obviously I designed it as well. And it's like... The way to approach my merch, though, is try to make it not scream wrestling. You know, other wrestlers, they want their faces and stuff. I try with my merch to literally be something that, you know, wrestling fan or not, you could sit there and be like, that's cool, I want to wear it, blah, blah, blah.
When it comes to...
So that usually works out in my favor.
When it comes to, like, shirt designs and posters and stuff, what are some of your favourite shirt or poster designs in general, regardless of promotion, over the years? Because there's been some iconic ones, and alternatively, what are some of your least favourites? Because there has been some really bad one. Like, I don't know if you was around... It would have been just after you started watching, actually, but there was a Sin Cara t-shirt, like, in 2011 or 2012, that literally looked like there was a dick drawn on the front of it because of the way that his cake was shaped.
I'm familiar with that one.
So with that being said, what are some of your
the AJ Styles? The AJ Styles. I'm gonna just say dripping shirt. If you're not familiar with that, it looks like semen, and so that one comes to mind. I think it was a weird fad where it was like everyone. It was like the full print, like tribal shirt. I don't even know what to call it, but it was. I think those shirts were weird. Like the weird. I don't know what to call it. I think those are pretty horrible.
The only one of those I think that really worked was the Triple H one. Because it had like the skeleton on it, and it kind of looked like, it wasn't quite tie-dye, but it had like the grey splotches. That's probably the only one. Oh, I think Orton had one that was cool as well, but it was basically the exact same as Triple H, just different color. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like,
but for me, it's the logo ones. Yeah. The logo ones like that, or the ones to me that it's just like that's just kind of tacky. I mean, I don't. They've had a weird one that they said now it was like a WWE shirt where it said "Watch me whip, now watch me bray bray." That comes to mind as well. Making fun of the song that was "Watch me whip, watch me nay nay." They had one for Bray Wyatt.
I have not seen this one. What?
Yeah, that one is so horrible, and it's just Bray in the corner, just in his little promo shot, just like staring down. It's like, this makes zero sense.
I'm just imagining now like a cartoonized version of Bray like waving the lantern around, like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, just one hand in the air with the lantern, just ready to name it.
I'm gonna have to go Google that after this conversation.
It sounds so terrible. I want it, just for how terrible it is.
Well, I've brought this up in a few episodes now, but I've just finished listening to the audio version of Hornswoggle's book, and he said that talked about the first T-shirt design he got where he was holding a shillelagh, but it basically just looked like, because of like the way he was drawn, the shillelagh was like twice his size. It looked like he was just holding a ginormous penis.
Oh, man.
No, I mean, I don't know. There's always something, like, they currently have one for Hobbs. I think that was like...
Is that the Big Black and Jack?
I forgot what it's...
Big Black and Jack?
Yeah, that's the one. There's that. That's the one that comes to mind. That's just like, I'm not going to be caught wearing that. I don't care. I know Louisiana has its history, but I'm not going to wear that.
My favorite part of that was, I don't know where they were for an AEW show, but there's like, he's an overweight dude. I'm not trying to be mean, but there's this big white guy. He's got the Peter Griffin glasses, the traditional wrestling fan neck beard, And he's wearing it front row, big, black, and jacked, and he's like, Will Hobbs is my favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
It's like, that's awesome that Hobbs is your favorite wrestler, sir, but,
Something's not.
They sell other shirts for him on the site.
Like,
Why that one?
I'm sure you can get one that just has, like, his logo on it or something, and, like, as you said, like, they're not as crazy and outlandish as the tribal ones they were doing, 10, 12 years ago. Like, they're nicely drawn and... But yeah, there's this. I don't know if he did it just to become a meme, but yeah, it's almost become a meme. It was like a couple of months ago when he met Hobbs while wearing the shirt, and Hobbs is like, "Oh my god, yeah, this guy's wearing my shirt." But surely there was a part of Hobbs that's got to look at it and be like, "Come on now."
I mean, and that's one of the things that does bother me about AEW is how quickly they are to just put out anything. Realistically, it's like. Even if it sells a shirt, I mean, that's money in their pocket, but at the same time, it's like, who wants this, though? Like, who would want to wear this?
See, I've kind of been guilty of that myself. Like, I was like, I'll have an idea and put it on my store, and I'm like, yeah, I've sold one version of this shirt. I need to go through and cull my store, honestly. But when AEW, to be a $1 million company... It's like, wouldn't you just or even a $1 billion company,
first.
why not go, hey, this design itself is feeling well, let's produce, millions of this one design, rather than go, let's, couple 100,000 of this, and then, produce all of these ones. And I guess...
And they work directly with Pro Wrestling Tees, too, so it's someone that's, and obviously I don't want to talk trash about them just in case I'm ever lucky to work with them in the future, but, I mean, it's someone within... their realm that for some reason looked at that and said either A, that's great, or B, it's like, it's so horrible, it's going to do fantastic.
See, the funny thing is, even though it's AEW, I just think of Vince McMahon for some reason, because I'm just like, yeah, look at that shirt. That's good shit, pal. That'll sell. Just like,
Black and Jack. Love it.
Why? Oh, I've just derailed this conversation in asking that question. But
okay, then that also is going to lead to the DX spray painting their logo with the cock on it. That's another one.
I was literally just talking about a week ago about the Vince Loves Cock t-shirt, and I'm like, I want to track one of them down just for shits and gigs at this point.
It's genius, but once again, it's like wrestling shirts are already kind of weird to a lot of people to wear, but to have something like that where it's just like, are you okay? You need therapy? Like, are you fine with wearing this?
And there was actually an alternate version of that shirt too, Kerry, that was double-sided, and on the back of it, it had cartoon versions of Shawn Michaels and Triple H mooning people. And, it was full-blown.
That part I remember.
It was, I think Triple H had, hair on his ass. I'm like, this I know that it was a couple of years before the PG era technically kicked off, but... with the amount of children that were watching at that time, again, how does something like that?
I don't know. And obviously I started watching during that weird transformation of turning PG, so I missed a lot of the glorious shirts that came out, like APA's always pounding ass. I got to miss that part.
You mentioned the AJ Styles shirt, the locked and loaded shirt of Val Venus, which was meant to be portrayed as literal semen.
Yes. See, I got scared for a second because I just did a poster for someone for their show called Locked and Loaded, and I got scared for a second. Just for Locked and Loaded, it was like, he's about to talk shit about my work.
Yeah, no, well, I think it said locked, cocked, and ready to blow or something like that. But, it was literally written in white paint, but it was meant to be portrayed as semen in that era. And it's just looking back, you're like, there is actual children wearing that t-shirt. Parents actually bought that t-shirt for their
That's twisted.
Wearing it with pride. They're going to playgrounds with that shirt on. It's your 4. What do you know about this?
And here's me in 1999 at the age of 5 years old wearing my Chinese, flea market bootleg rock shirt that's a literal bootleg. He's not making any money off it. And I think I'm the coolest kid because it's the rock merch. And then here's these people actually attending shows wearing their Val Venus semen shirts. Like, what? But before I derail this any further, Kerry, have you got any designs in the pipeline currently that you could share with us in terms of like just little self projects that you're working on?
Oh, Sketchamania actually. Oh man, I'm tired. It was so like I created accidentally just like this thing of I work a late shift, so over here I'm working till 11. After work I go to the gym, so I wouldn't get home till 1 a.m. Then take a shower. So I mean, a lot of these designs was made in 2 a.m. for the fact that like, okay, this is gonna have to go on social media in a few hours. So I mean, I just got burnt. I had to use ChatGPT just to give me ideas for certain categories because I was like, I can't think of anyone. I'm not trying to make another Bray Wyatt shirt or anything like that. So as of late, I really haven't been working on anything. I've tried to sit there and stare at Photoshop opened on my screen and just like I go get inspiration, go look on Pro Wrestling Tees, WWE Shop, whatever. And my brain right now is just like, let's just make it to the end of the year mode. Like I'm doing my last bit of bookings for wrestling. I'm working a full-time job, so my brain is just everywhere else but design. I mean, I'm working on a poster for a promotion right now, but other than that, I'm not doing anything spectacular.
No, I feel that. I feel that. Like, I'm currently, I don't know if you saw my post, but I don't know where this came from. It was just, me and my buddy were playing around with AI and stuff and just imagining wrestlers as animals. And somehow that devolved into me just on a whim saying, I'm going to try and write a children's book. And I'm actually 50% of the way. So it's further than I thought I was going to get. But like,
good.
Between that and like, I just finished making an entrance video just this morning for a buddy. So between that and like some of the 8x10s and stuff I did, like I'm the same. Like I haven't been able to really do many self projects. It's just, I don't know. I'm just like, if someone goes, hey, could you make such and such? I'd be like, yeah, I could whip it up like in an hour. But yeah, as far as just making a logo or a shirt design just for the sake of it, like my brain is just, I think I'm in the same boat.
That's just in general.
It's like I kept getting
and that's just in general.
I just started getting him into doing like the graphic design challenges where they have to give you like design a skateboard kind of like design or like stuff like that, and he's like, oh yeah, I should get into that. And he's done I think two now.
I actually created my own in February of this year, which I really enjoyed because it was completely out of the realm of wrestling shirts and stuff like that, and it was just basically toying around with different techniques. But it was seeing KG's post about Sketchamania, and obviously we're 17 hours ahead here, so I was like, shit, now I've got to catch up. But it was the same thing where it'd be 2-3 in the morning and I'm like, oh crap, let me quickly whip this up, and I might as well do this one while I'm here. And now I'm just like, man, I need to just take a breath, I think.
Like that's the thing is I would on my off days just literally sit, like I make all my designs in my actual bedroom, so I'm just laying in bed and it's like I've got the creative juices flowing. So I would make designs like 4 days ahead. So I was like, cool, small little break. And then next thing you know, I would completely just forget to make, whatever was next. So it was like, shit, gotta hurry up, throw something together, put it on the mock-up, try to decrease the file size so that way I can email it to myself, schedule it, and go to sleep, wake up, see how people respond to it, blah, blah, blah. So it just stressed me out. It stressed me out. I loved it. It allowed me to test myself. But damn, I was like, man, like I must really like hate myself. Like even now, like as the year's ending with wrestling, I was like, all right, like this is the last stretch, right? Like there's nobody doing any shows in December. So these are what I'm doing. And I've been trying to push really hard in the gym. And like I'm doing cardio with my friends who's trying to keep up with me, and I'm just in the gym yelling, I hate what I want to do with my life. I hate this. And he's just like, you'll be fine. I said, I know I'll make it out alive, but damn, like I'm hurting. I'm burnt. My legs hurt. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to wrestle. I want to wrestle. I don't want to do anything else that comes with it, man. That's it.
That'll actually kind of blend into...
It's tying into my next question.
The next question, because we're going to move back towards the wrestling a bit now.
So this is where we start to kind of mark out a little bit, wind down as we get through the questions. So this one is for you. What is your favourite match of all time, both that you've had personally and that you've seen? And when I say seen, it can be on TV, it can be live.
You can see the cogs turning.
I've digested a lot of wrestling.
Shit, really?
As young as I am, I mean, oh man. I'm trying to think. There's so many that, like, as I said, once I discovered it, I mean, I was running with it. So I'd literally just watch wrestling, except for now that I'm working, I don't have as much time. Best match. Undertaker's my all-time favorite, so I would probably say Undertaker, Shawn Michaels.
Ooh, okay.
25.
Yes. People
that's up there. Another one of my favorite.
I was just going to say, people argue that could actually be the greatest match in Mania history. And honestly, pretty strong argument.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if I want to get a little bit crazier, another one of my favorites is Cactus Jack, Terry Funk, King of the Death Match.
Ooh,
if I'm wanting to watch something, I like to explore that. I enjoy watching Deathmatch. I don't think I'll ever have the balls to actually do it. But I think that's a good example of being able to still tell a great story within Deathmatch, especially now where it's just people hitting each other with light tubes and stuff. That I feel like tells a really great story of like the danger of it and building up anticipation to just like, oh, he fell into a big explosion, especially at the end where everything just kind of fell apart. That's a great match in my opinion, and that's what gave me my love for Terry Funk was that match.
Hell yeah, that's always a great option.
And personally, one of my favorite matches that I've done is a wrestler down here named Gil Gracie, and I'm in a locker room full of old school guys, right? So I mean, they look at Mid-South wrestling as Bible down here, but he's one of those legitimate, like, if you mess with him, he'll kick your ass. He has MMA background, boxing background, jiu-jitsu, like anything combat, he was in there. So, and it also meant a lot because it was during a time where, my father had just passed. A 3-year relationship I was in had literally ended 2 weeks after that. So it was a big question of like, do I still want to do this? And I got through the bookings that I already was committed to, and he was one of them. And I went through that match, and it was like, I need to do this. Like, that was one of those special matches where it was like, this is what I've wanted to do. Why would I stop now? And going backstage and just hearing, the praise of just like, you're getting better. You're getting in the right direction. And so that's a very special match to me. And I mean, he kicked my butt. He's one of those that, he's not going to break your jaw, but he will hit you. And it was one of those moments where you hit me, I hit him just as much back, and he was like, I like that. You got some fight in you. You'll make out just fine. Just keep progressing. So that's a very special match that I hold close to my heart.
I completely sympathize and relate to that because I have a wrestler in my neck of the woods named Dozer, and you throw a stone at wrestlers and there's going to be 1,000 of them with the same name, but he's very well known within our region here in this area of Australia. And same thing, that the very day after my dad's funeral, I had a show and so many people were like, you probably shouldn't do it. But in my mind, wrestling was the only thing that really my dad and I ever bonded over. So I was like, I had to do this. I've never watched that match back. I don't know if I will, but it was the same thing of that was one of the first matches where I had some of the other veterans actually pull me aside and go, "Hey man, like this was really good and that was really good and da 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 da," and I was just like, "Huh." Like I honestly can't even remember what happened in that match because I've kind of just blocked it out. Just I don't know, maybe that's some sort of trauma that I need to get solved. But it's the same feeling of look, you know, like. And Dozer was like, he's like, "Look, man, like I know you're going through shit. Let's get through this and da 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 da." I went out there. I was the bad guy, which was funny given the circumstance. Because if the people had have known, I probably would have been the biggest baby face in the room. But I was like, no, like,
right.
Let me do my thing and tell them all how much they suck and inbred and, you know, whatever else cheap heat I can throw out there. But like, yeah, it was just one of those things. And yeah, everyone was like, "Hey, that's a great match." So I completely agree with you on that. It's just one of those things where you kind of, I guess you got to push yourself to be on another level. Is this match, I know you've got a few matches on your YouTube channel. Is that match on your YouTube channel, Kerry?
Unfortunately, I did not record it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I did not. But I had a family member who had live streamed it, and that's how I was able to watch back a little bit. And but I mean, it's very special to me, and you know, it's just another day for him. But that was one of those standout moments. But I mean, especially as of late, I mean, I'm getting better with every single match, which is great. You know, I get told that every time. I make sure to ask, like, "Do you see me improving?" And they're just like, "Yeah, every time you step in the ring, you have something new that you're bringing. You're opening up a lot. You know, you're improving, which is very important. You know, you're getting into the right direction. There's other things I need to work on, but mostly at this point, it's a lot of smaller details, which is good. I have the bigger picture already there." So, and that's comforting because as I tell people, you know, like I get real nervous before my matches, mainly because I tell them like, I want to be good at this. You know, this is what I wanted to do. Even before the graphic design, that was never a thought. Like with wrestling, this is what I've always said. I dealt with so much bullying and retaliation. So I pick myself even harder whenever it comes to wrestling. I will put myself down, even for matches that I thought are great. I'll be like, you know, so how do you feel about it? I feel good, you know, and they're just like, "No, it was great." And it was like, okay, that's what I need to hear because I will criticize myself.
You'll always find like
6 feet under.
You do 100 things right, but that one thing you do wrong, it's like, oh man, and it's just like,
God,
no.
I'm still. I'll get haunted by like matches that like I know could have been so much better. Like I will legitimately just be walking somewhere, and my brain will just go like, "Hey, so you got a show this weekend, but you remember this show from a year ago where like you tripped?" And it'll be like, "Why would you do that to me? Like I'm trying to get myself together, and I'm not even going to wrestle today. I'm going to work. Like what are you doing?"
Leave me alone, brain. Like, come on.
Like what did I do today? I ate breakfast. What am I supposed to do now?
Now I'm just gonna think about this all freaking day.
Oh Jesus.
Sitting there at work, I'm look like I'm having Vietnam flashbacks over the fact that, like, oh, I almost fell when I walked into the ring. And, why? What did I do? And my friends, they're sitting there. They don't get wrestling. They're like, "Are you fine?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
My next question for you is, who is your ultimate dream opponent and what is your dream stipulation?
They have to be current.
I mean, past, present.
Yeah,
you can
past,
do both
present.
if you want. It's entirely open for your interpretation.
I want to beat the Undertaker's ass because I like him. I like you, so I need to beat you up. And I like the extreme stipulation, so I think it would have to be in the Hell in a Cell. I think that's my dream stipulation. I'd like to be in that gigantic cage, and I'm young and stupid, so I wanna jump off the top of it. But I'm also 6'2", and my knees already hurt.
Or potentially get thrown off all through it, Mankind style.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Mankind.
But as I said, my knees are already hurting, so that's just not going to happen.
Now, we always end our last question as a non-wrestling related question. We try to tailor it to the individual that we have on that we're interviewing. It's kind of like a fun fact. Our question for you is, what is your go-to comfort film or TV show? Or both?
Ooh.
Just a little bit left field here, changing the pace.
Yeah, because it kind of throws you off towards the end. It's kind of like, I wasn't expecting that.
It depends on my mood. Like, for some reason, I'm really good at quoting Billy Madison.
Dude, yes.
Yes. Big accent, man. Big pop.
I'm really good. It's that, or if I want a feel-good story. Yeah. Nobody's gonna hurt you, Mr. Penguin. Here I come. Don't. For some reason, more than anything, I quote out of the blue for no reason. Like, after that, when he's on the ground and they're walking over him, he just goes, leg. I'll just quote that for no reason.
Damn it, Billy, I said no gibberish. Eric is pregnant. Congratulations, Dippy. Those kicks, he's going to be a soccer player.
That's one of my favorites.
Do you have a favorite quote from that movie, or is that your favorite, the leg one?
My brain thinks of so many things at once, and I really just let my thoughts win so many times. So I'll randomly just say dumb shit while in the car, just going like, "You get off your ass and find the fucking dog." My girlfriend would be like, "What?"
Shit you not. Literally yesterday on my Facebook memories, I had that whole quote of the "You got a pet." It made it my Facebook status for whatever reason. I think I was like half drunk watching it, and yeah, just like literally, I did that whole diatribe as my Facebook status. It came up in my memories from like 6 years ago, like yesterday. So that's kind of funny.
or I'll look at my girl sometimes and I'll be like, "That's correct," and then I'll take off my shirt and she'll just be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm just like, "Oh my god, like you haven't watched it before, so you're just not gonna get it? Come on, man, don't do that."
The one that I do the most, it's probably the most famous one, but like I'll literally just be like washing the dishes or something, and I'll be like, "Shampoo is better," and then from the next room, my wife will be like, "Conditioner is better." And I'm like, "I married the one. That's it. She's it."
Yeah. I'll come here for my lunch breaks or something, and my friend will come over, and I'll see the mail, and I'll be like, "It's Nudie magazine day."
Hell yeah.
So I mean, I'll just sit there with the movie, and I'll just follow along with it. So, like, if I want a good laugh, that just never seems to fail. If I want a feel-good story, Matilda.
Oh,
the movie is a good one for me.
This is just my childhood right now. Yes.
See, I'm loving this because I think there's a slight age gap. I think Kerry's just that little bit younger than us, so I love that he's going for this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 24, so I mean, I was still there for the VHS tapes and everything. I still struggled. Don't get it confused.
No, I get that. I just turned 30, and my brother, who's just turned 25, talks about how he was a 90s kid, and I'm just like, motherfucker, you just inherited all my second hand
on the cusp.
But then I say that my youngest brother, I remember him asking me what a Game Boy was when he was like 8, and I'm like, I have failed.
Nope, I still got my Game Boy. I still got my Nintendo DS. I got my DSi.
Yes.
I still got all of that. So
hell yes.
If I'm in the mood for like a musical or something, I like to watch Rocket Man, the Elton John biopic.
Yes, dude, that was actually really underrated.
Yes.
I love watching that movie. And now since it's almost Christmas season, I need to watch Home Alone. Only the first two though. I don't like any of the other ones. I just own them.
What's your preference between the first and the second one?
I like the second one.
Yes.
Yep.
I like the idea of New York. I love the idea of New York, and it's just so chaotic.
I've got so many
options. There's that one, or
this is now for the episode.
Yes.
there's that one, or I have to watch The Grinch. That's another one I'll sit there and quote, like even just before work while I'm trying to figure out what shirt to wear. I'll just be like, that shit, I'm not going.
But I mean, alternatively, depending on your co-workers, you could always do the hate, loathe entirely.
There's that, or I'll look at my other coworkers and just do the random little just a little jump part, and then just like I'm just out of the box whenever it comes to everything. I don't know. My brain just it'll sit there and think about 15 million things. I'll sit there and randomly quote songs out of the blue. I don't know what goes on. I don't know.
See, I'm just ADHD as fuck, and I completely agree with that. Like, we'll be watching a TV show, and they'll say something, and then I'll just start talking about something completely different, even though there's something else on the TV screen. And I think it drives my wife nuts at times, but...
Sometimes I do it back, though. Or, like, someone will say something, and then it just reminds you of a song or something, and then you just start singing it.
Anyway.
Like at work, there was literally like a full hour of us just quoting SpongeBob. Like, I don't know if we all different age groups and everything, but everyone for some reason just sat there and just was quoting episodes, like full episodes beginning to end for no reason. We're just bored.
Hell yeah. With all that being said, though, Kerry, this has been an awesome chat, by the way. I really appreciate this.
So fun.
With all that being said, where can we find both yourself and KG Studios on socials? Where can we find your merch? And since we actually do have a small USA fan base that listen to this, where can we find you at upcoming shows for the wrestling?
So, for wrestling, it's Kerry Gros _PW. I don't use Twitter at all. I'm like that with social media in general. I just like to see what's going on. But if you're interested in seeing what I'm doing, Kerry Gros _PW for wrestling, and KG Studios _ on almost all social media. TikTok sucks, so it's one more underscore at the end. Wrestling wise, I have a show. I don't know when this episode's going to come out.
It's dropping Sunday the 8th our time, so it'll be Monday the 9th your time. Well,
I'm no longer booked by that time. So I have nothing going on. And also, sadly, in real life, I don't have a vehicle. So if someone is willing to help pay for my Ubers to come to a show near you, I'll do so. But as of right now, there's no shows for the rest of the year. But if you do want to see if I'm going to be anywhere in Louisiana, Kerry Gros _PW.
Because as we record this, you've actually got a booking this weekend, don't you?
On November 30th, my time.
Yes. Okay. And just
in Louisiana. So
just for the sake of the argument, who are you facing on that show?
It's insane because I made the graphics and I don't know. So I can't even talk trash about it.
That sounds familiar. Do you know how many times
All I know is whoever it is, they're going to lose, but I don't know.
I have so many people messaging me every time there's a show for specific companies going, who am I facing? Who am I facing? And I'm like, you'll find out when I find out.
Exactly.
Or if it's just such and such has an open challenge, and they'll message me going, who's answering the open challenge? I don't know. That's why it's an open challenge.
And I sell tickets for the area that we're going to be in. So this was just their way of letting them know, hey, he's going to be here, so you can buy a ticket. But just the chain breaker will be in action. And it's okay, but can you actually tell me? I don't want to. I would like an idea, so that way I could have an idea.
We'll just assume.
But it's whatever.
When this drops in a week and a bit's time, or I should say, a week's time from that show, we'll just assume that the chains have been broken and that Kerry Gros has gotten.
That's right. It will be quite disappointing to go on Instagram and it's just lost. And it's ooh, Sorry about that, champ.
I'm sorry if I jinxed that.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed.
But I'm really glad we could tee this up. You know, it's only been a couple of weeks since we first started organising this, so that's actually probably the quickest I've done with this show, with everything else going on, and the time zones as well. Like it's just on 1 p.m. here, so like it's good for us. It's almost bedtime for you, I should say. So I won't keep you for too long. But no, just thank you, Terry. Thank you, Kerry. My God, I
guess last night was Terry.
Yeah, we had Terry. We interviewed Terry Campese last night. As I do this, Terry and Kerry, and they're dropping a week apart. ADHD brain. I apologize, Kerry. Thank you for jumping on with us. Thank you for giving us your time here, and hopefully sooner than later. I know I've noticed that you follow the MXW page, and the MXW page follows you, and as a person that's technically part of the MXW stuff, I'd like to say, MXW, fly this man over here.
I mean, they're getting Bobby Fish soon, so come on.
And there's an international... Maybe Kerry Gros is going to be the international star that's going to be revealed for March, maybe.
You never know.
I don't know. The silhouette the silhouette had long hair.
I mean, just... there has been discussions on both sides before. It's just more or less if real life would just chill out for a second. And trust, I happily would love to come over there. I would happily love to come over there to whip A-Shack's ass. So I know I've known him for a very long time. And I'm very proud of the work he does. But I also think someone needs to knock him down a few levels, and I think that person would have to be me. But as of right now, I'll let him sit on his throne.
See, I didn't realize
but until then,
you actually were familiar with Ace, so that makes me even happier that it's more of a possibility. So there you go. And he is currently the Ascend champion, so maybe he'll be taking that back to Louisiana. I'm not... I'm just saying, Ace.
Just throwing shit out there.
It's just a lot. I mean, as I said, I'd love to go there. I've had discussions already. He loves to... It's been a while since I've talked to him, but he'll happily come and tease me about it. And I'll tease him right back about it. So I would love to come over there and meet everyone, because I pay attention to wrestling everywhere. So I see what goes on in the Australian scene as well. Very underrated part of the wrestling world, in my opinion. There's a lot of great things going on over there. So I'd love to come over there and do a good bit. Love to do a good bit, not just with MXW, but just with everyone in general over there.
Hell yeah. Well, as I said, I'm going to sound like a crack record. Once I put this together with the intro and outro, I'm probably going to say it 100 more times as well. But just thank you for your time tonight, Kerry, and I hope you enjoy...
No, thank y'all. I appreciate this.
Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I hope 2025 brings a lot more chain breaking.
I hope so too. There's no telling what's going to happen. I have big dreams, and I've made it this far. I may as well just keep stepping and going forward with it.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Kerry.
dude. It was good talking to you.
Thank y'all. I appreciate the time.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Thibodaux, Louisiana, the Chainbreaker, Kerry Gros. And once again in the outro, Nova Lee smashing it out. You know what?
Always. Hey!
That's for you, Nova, my lovely ring announcing wife. Absolutely smashing it. What a great way to get practice in between the two shows that you've done so far. Hopefully more in 2025, health pending, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. But who knows, maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to announce that in person sooner than later.
You never know. I'll hit the road.
I don't have the money or the power to make that happen, but hey, if Kerry does, I almost said Terry again, because as we record this, we did Terry yesterday, and it was last week's episode when you're hearing this, but Kerry, if he comes down under, maybe Nova can slot in there and ring announce whatever event that's on.
Hell yeah.
We don't want to spend too much time, Nova. We only actually have one event to plug in this outro specifically, because of the date that it's dropping. So with that being said, just as always, make sure you follow us on social media. Both mine and Nova's have the podcast socials as well as the Patreon, where for future reference you can get early access for as low, Nova, as
$5 Australian or $3 US.
$5 dues, Tobias! Yeah, for $5, you can get the Rogue tier, which gives you exclusive early access to episodes, usually 2 days, but the last couple of weeks, what are words? Buy the t-shirt on the Pro Wrestling Tee store. That's also in my link tree. What are words? If you get early access, it's usually at least 2 days, but the last few weeks have been 3 to 4 days early, just because we've managed to get some in the can. So yeah, for $5 a month goes a long way, especially with the fact that I've been off work for 2.5 years and counting. But yeah, you can do that with the Rogue tier. The $10 tier is the essential tier, where you can actually ask us a question in the most current episode of the episode. Obviously, we keep getting them in the can. It could be up to a couple of weeks, but the most current episode, you will get to ask us any question or topic regarding whether it's professional wrestling, pop culture, whatever, in the intro to an episode. $15, the real main event. You can actually pick a topic for an episode, whether that's a watch-along or a Markapalooza or a top 10 or etc., etc. Or the $20 tier, which is called
the Supernova tier.
Grants you exclusive, I almost said Podman. We are on Podman. Exclusive Patreon, which is what I'm plugging. Patreon footage, video-only Patreon
real.
Footage. And on top of that, if you have the $20 tier, which we don't have any yet, we've only had one $10 subscriber so far, and we've got a couple of free subscribers. But if you are a $20 subscriber, for that entire month that you are subscribed, you will get a shout out in the intro / outro for those episodes. So yeah, that's a thing. Go click on the links. But also in my link tree is the Pro Wrestling Tees, as I just mentioned. By the time this episode drops, the sale will have just finished. But as I record this, there's a 20% off sale on Pro Wrestling Tees. As I said in this conversation, I do need to cull some of my designs, especially considering the fact that I've just kicked Big James and Barry the Sweeper Blake out of Rogue. I should probably get rid of the Fire shirts and the SBC shirts. And
yeah, screw those guys, right?
Fuck those guys. Broke my heart. Anyway, but that's all there. The Amazon wish list is there. Again, not going to beg, but the GoFundMe is there. Crossfire Graphics is there. But obviously, go follow KG. And KG, he did mention some of his handles in this, but he's actually made it even more simple. Because for Kerry Gros Pro Wrestler, there is a link tree for all of those. And for KG Studios, there's a link tree for all of those. So I'm going to put both of those in the description. Make sure you click on those and you follow the X or the Twitters and the Facebook and the YouTube and the TikToks and everything in between. I followed him on every single thing on both my personal pages and the podcast pages, except for X, because I only have the one X account. But on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, he's followed by both the Essential John L. Crossfire / Sensational LJ / Courting Conversation, depending on the platform that we're on. But yeah, that's my TED Talk for the day. If you'd like to repeat the song and match of the week, Nova, and then I can plug the one event we've got to plug for this, and then we can get out of here.
So your song of the week for episode 141 was Chainbreaker by Brothers of Metal.
Cover band! That's a great cover band. Let's do it.
Mothers of Metal.
Mothers of Metal.
And your match of the week for episode 141 was Edge versus Rey Mysterio, No Way Out, 2008.
I do apologise if me taking my big swig of water was in the background of that. But I am thirsty as fuck.
Thirsty boy, it is hot
so
here.
humid and it's storming and it's bullshit because it's almost... it'll be summer by the time this episode drops, Nova.
And it's still storming
as we record this episode, we're 4 days away from December, and it's ridiculous. But we'll be a week into summer by the time this episode drops our time. Obviously, they're in winter over there. But yeah, no, thanks again to KG for coming on. I just appreciate him very much. I really love his graphic design work. I really enjoyed his wrestling work from the bits and pieces that I have seen on socials. He does have a YouTube channel. I might have to make my way through some of those matches, possibly with Nova Lee here, and see what you think. Maybe someone can subscribe to the $15 tier and suggest one of these matches for KG for us to do a watch along.
Yeah, well, I even said you might be able to even do a watch along with DPC if you put another one in the works.
Possibly.
And watch one of these
DPC
matches.
prefers having more Australian
True.
content, but hey, if
True.
KG comes over here and he gets that match with A-Shaq,
Hey, you never
maybe
know.
that's one we can react on
Yeah.
a lot of its cool YouTube channel. But yeah, I just really appreciate KG for coming on again. But we're speaking of A-Shaq.
Yes.
As we record this, MXW All For One is coming up this weekend. By the time this episode drops, it's going to be over and done with. He may or may not still be the Ascend champion. I don't know, because he's got a street fight coming up with Mike Chaos. That's going to be an absolute banger.
Banger.
But as I record this, MXW No Regrets, December 28th in Horsham, Victoria, back where MXW was formed in the very first place. What a way to end the years. I still think it's a missed opportunity. I think just for shits and gigs and for lols, they should have called it No Regrets. That's just me. That's just me. But no, MXW No Regrets, December 28th. The link to tickets will be in the bio as well. But is there anything else? You know what, Nova? Let me just fucking derail this just because I said I wanted to keep this tight and under an hour and a half, but whatever. What is your favourite Home Alone quote, whether it be one or two, and what is your favourite Billy Madison quote?
Oh, shit. So, obviously, my favourite Billy Madison quote would be, "Stop looking at me, Swan." But Home Alone, I'm trying to think the shower scene. And it's like, I'm trying to think of the shower scene. I can't remember how it goes because ADHD. But, you know, in the shower scene in Home Alone 2.
That's literally what I'm thinking of right now. The dancing and the...
Yeah.
So good. Like, he was here last night, the dirty pervert or whatever.
Yeah.
That whole scene is...
It's one of my favourite scenes, but my
when
mind's
we're watching
gone blank.
When we're watching it, we can damn near quote word for word.
Sometimes random days I can quote it word from word, but today you put me on the spot and I'm like, fuck,
but
it's
you know
gone.
what? KG, just because you said the second one is your favourite... there's very few people that have disagreed with me at this point, which is awesome considering how much people love disagreeing because life. But just about every person I ask lately about this has said that they prefer the second Home Alone movie, and I'm just spitballing here, right? I don't want to take too long, but I know we do predominantly professional wrestling content and the occasional football content, but we have done a couple of movie reviews, like we did The Bullet Train, we did Black Phone. Yeah. We could almost do a Home Alone versus Home Alone 2 episode.
Yeah. I just love that he's like, I refuse, like 3 and beyond doesn't exist. I'm like, same, bro.
Yeah, so like full disclosure,
Same, bro.
I have never seen Home Alone 3 or 4.
Me
I don't even
either.
know how fucking...
I don't even want to go
I
there.
swear there's like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 of them at this point because of like the
and they
remakes
keep
and the
having different
reboots.
kids, and I'm like, no, it's not the fucking same. Like, fuck
But
off.
like, no, I have not seen anything past the second one. So look, for all I know, number 3 could be a phenomenal movie, but I just can't do it. There's something in me that...
It's
But
just
I do appreciate you, KG. Thank you so much.
And I just want to say, we say this every time like a broken record, but this was such an awesome podcast, dude. You have to come on again. Like,
100%. Like,
definitely. That was so much fun.
I just, even just the end there where again, I'm ADHD as fuck, Nova, you're ADHD. I don't know if Kerry has ADHD, but he's definitely my type of neurodivergent person. So
You're
like,
our people, bro.
the way we just started vibing and stimming at the end there, I reckon like, we could just do like a whole like episode just on comedy movies or movie references or fucking let's go top 10 fucking Adam Sandler. Like,
yeah, like we're heavily
like, dude,
aimed like
this-
at wrestling kind of like podcast, but we do go in a lot to pop culture and stuff.
Like
so
I'm trying
that could
really
work.
hard. Like we're both trying really hard. Hence why we're in the process of trying to plan the layout for the pod studio when, if hopefully it happens sooner than later. But like there comes at the end of the day where it is our show, and we want to do shit just to pop ourselves.
Yeah.
So like
we're marks.
Marks
marks for fucking everything.
Like we may not do it this Christmas period, but honestly, the Home Alone versus Home Alone 2 thing.
I could see that.
Kind of stealing one of DPC's gimmicks because he does like the round table type discussions. But hey, maybe DPC will jump on. I don't know. But no, just thank you, Kerry. Thank you, KG, Kerry Gros, Not Kerry Gros, not Kerry Gros, Kerry Gros.
The S is silent.
Yes, the S is silent. But at the end of the day, it's Nudie Magazine Day. I am the essential John L. Crossfire.
And I am Nova Lee.
And you were just caught
In conversation, shakalaka and titty sprinkles, stealing your line again.
Shampoo is better.
I go on first and cleans your hair.
Stop looking at me, Swan.